Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahaba Kajura. But first are the headlines. Parliament names a committee to probe Minister Msenero over alleged misuse of COVID-19 funds. Anti-war march held in South Africa. And in our sports today, Soltilo Bright Stars terminate Becca Mbowa's employment contract. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, the Deputy Speaker, Anita Amongi, has announced a 5-member committee to investigate claims that the Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Monica Msenero, misappropriated over 31 billion shillings meant for the research and production of the COVID-19 vaccine. Moving on in our top stories, Shamil Malende, the lawyer representing MPs Alan Sewanyana and Mohamed Segirinya, has said that her life is under threat. The two incarcerated legislators are battling charges of murder, terrorism, and other charges. Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We'll take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In our international news today, a few dozen Ethiopians, mostly from Tigray, held a demonstration on Wednesday calling for more external action on the conflict in their country. Now, the protest was staged outside the embassies of the United States and the European Union in the South African capital, Pretoria. We have more on this report.
The demonstrators, who were clad in t-shirts bearing the flag of Tigray and waved US flags, also accused Addis Ababa of committing genocide, a claim dismissed by a joint investigation of the United Nations and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission. Government forces are battling rebels from Tigray who have threatened to march on the capital. On Sunday, tens of thousands of people vowed to defend Addis Ababa from a rumored rebel advance at a pro-government rally. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the one-year conflict picked up pace last week when envoys sent by the African Union and the United States met with officials in Addis Ababa and Mekelle, the capital of Tigray. The embattled Tigray region's capital Mekelle is suffering food and fuel shortage as Ethiopian government blockades continues. War broke out last November after forces loyal to the Tigray regional government attacked bases housing federal troops, killing soldiers.
Moving on, Benin on Wednesday welcomed back nearly 30 royal treasures looted from the West African state during France's colonial rule more than 130 years ago. We have more on this report.
Benin's President Patrice Talon and the country's culture minister traveled on Tuesday to Paris to bring home the 26 artifacts, part of France's President Emmanuel Macron's bid to restore African heritage. The plane carrying the royal treasures landed on Tuesday afternoon at Cotonou Airport, the economic capital of Benin, where hundreds of people gathered to pay homage, dance and celebrate. Ousmane Abebindini, on the road between the airport and the presidency, where the works will be transported by trucks, said that they cannot see the objects, but the mere fact of knowing that the thrones of their ancestors, their shoes, rugs and other objects were in those trucks has an effect on him in a way he couldn't describe. Along the road, many Beninese, mostly dressed in loincloths and traditional dress, were waiting on the sidewalk to the sound of drums and fanfare. Martine Vinoni Agoli Abo, a resident of northern Benin, traveled with her two daughters more than 500 kilometers to see the moment. The return of the artifacts taken from Abomey Palace, which also include 3 totemic statues, comes as calls mount in Africa for Western countries to return colonial spoils. In France, most are held by Kouai Banli Museum, which has begun a review of its collection to identify works some say were acquired through violence or coercion. French lawmakers last year passed a bill allowing Paris to return artifacts to both Benin and Senegal, another former French colony.
Away from that, as climate change takes its toll in Madagascar, the country's environment minister believes that issue of financing is crucial in the fight for better living conditions. We have more on this report.
The south of the country faces famine as the result of a prolonged drought that has affected more than 1.3 million people. Paumiavothe Vahinala Raharinirana, Madagascar's environment minister, said that although the state has started its adaptation projects with its own funds, it's clear that the question of financing is crucial to rebuild the territories that will be below sea level to face the massive desertification that is taking place in the south of Madagascar, to prevent the populations from moving elsewhere and destroying Madagascar's unique biodiversity, the baobab, the lemurs that are endemic symbols of Madagascar's unique in the world. Speaking at COP26 in Glasgow, the minister appealed for the climate solidarity in the face of rising challenges. She said that they must go beyond the individual positioning of each country, and it is up to those countries to organize this collective decision, and that is why they are gathered there. She added that they set up COP because they still believe in the world's capacity to gather and take decisions in an intelligent way. Last week, the United Nations announced that nearly 30,000 people were now officially affected by famine in the country. More than 1.3 million others are considered to be in a food security crisis or emergency.
Moving on, the waters of the Gulf of Guinea, rich in hydrocarbons and fisheries resources, are increasingly exposed to piracy, according to security officials from the region meeting Monday to Pointe-Noire, southern Congo.
The Congolese Prime Minister Anatole Colinette Makosso, who presided over the opening of the symposium organized with the French Defense Ministry, said that the area is one of the key zones for international trade, rich in hydrocarbons representing a quarter of the world's reserves. He added that, paradoxically, it is a high-risk maritime zone following the migration of the phenomenon of maritime piracy from Gulf of Aden, allocated on the Horn of Africa. According to the head of the Congolese government, the Gulf of Guinea, which stretches from Senegal to Angola, has recorded for the year 2020 alone 195 attacks on the ships, with means and methods of pirate continuously strengthened for some time. In the same year, 130 of 135 kidnappings of seafarers recorded in the world, or more than 95%, took place in this area, according to a recent report by the International Maritime Bureau. In 2013, the 19 countries that make up the Gulf of Guinea set up the Yaoundé Architecture to carry out joint and concerted actions against piracy. This third edition of the Symposium of Chiefs of Staff of the Gulf riparian countries marks the beginning of the operationalization of this architecture, according to the organizers.
Moving on, thousands of Tunisians went on strike and rallied Wednesday after a demonstrator died of tear gas inhalation during angry demonstrations over the reopening of a rubbish dump as environmental crises mount in the North African country. Our reporter has more.
Abdelrazek Lashehebe, 25, died early Tuesday in Agareb in the Sfax region on the central coast after security forces used tear gas to disperse protesters. A medic and a family member said he had died of asphyxia, and the prosecution said it had opened an investigation. The Interior Minister said Lashehebe had died as a result of a pre-existing health condition. On Wednesday, the city held a general strike and thousands of people marched the 6 kilometers from the town to the landfill site, which served around 1 million people until it was closed in September under pressure from residents. But authorities decided on Monday to reopen the site, sparking immediate protests. On Wednesday, thousands walked through the town chanting that they have a right to a dignified life and a right to clean air. Security forces once again deployed heavily and used tear gas to prevent them from reaching the site. Agareb landfill, the main such site in the Sfax region, including Tunisia's second city of the same name, closed in September under pressure from residents. Locals had complained it was full and that toxic chemical waste was being dumped at a facility only meant for household waste. Tunisia has long suffered difficulties dealing with the estimated 2.5 million tons of rubbish, dumping the vast majority in landfills and recycling almost nothing.
In our sports news today, management of Saltillo Bright Stars Football Club has terminated the employment contract of their head coach, Beka Mbowa. His assistant Simon Peter Mugera takes over as interim manager. Now, the development was confirmed by the club via a media release on Wednesday, on 10th November 2021. We have more on this report.
According to a statement published by the club, Saltillo Bright Stars Football Club has agreed to part ways with head coach Beka Mbowa after unconvincing results. This followed a string of unconvincing results that has witnessed the club fail to win any game in the first 4 matches of the 2021-2022 season. In the first 4 matches of the current season, Saltillo Bright Stars lost thrice and drew once with Kampala Capital City Authority, managing a single point out of the possible 15 matches. The 3 losses were away to Mbarara City on match day 1 with a 3-1 loss at Kacheka Stadium, 1-0 to Onduparaka at Kavumba Recreation Stadium, and 1-0 defeat away to newly promoted Gaddafi at the Gaddafi Arena in Jinja City. To surge forward, the club has appointed Mbowa's immediate assistant Simon Peter Mugera as an interim manager until a permanent solution is sought. Mbowa is the second coach to lose his job in the Star Times Uganda Premier League this season. Douglas Bamoyana parted ways with Wakiso Giants just after 2 matches. Like Mbowa, Bamoyana was replaced by his assistant Alex Gita.
Well, thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the Bright.